At 2 a.m. this morning, Pokémon and Universal made a pretty major, albeit vague, announcement. According to the press release, Universal Destinations and Experiences plans to deliver unique Pokémon experiences across the company's global footprint. Essentially, Pokémon is coming to the Universal theme parks. Now, there was some doubt spreading about this idea in the past. While Universal had been utilizing the Pokémon IP at Universal Studios Japan in the form of parades, it wasn't exactly clear whether they would be able to expand the property's usage in their parks. Now though, Pokémon going global has been confirmed, with the CEO of the Pokémon company saying that they aim to create theme park entertainment that surprises and delights fans around the globe. With that confirmation in place, only one question remains: where exactly will these attractions be found? Well, we may as well start off with the obvious one. Universal Studios Japan has been heavily rumored to get a Pokémon attraction ever since The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man closed back in 2024. While whatever's replacing Spider-Man has yet to be confirmed, it's hard to imagine which properties could be more popular than that one is. Besides, the way this press release was announced suggests that attractions are already readily in development, especially with Pokémon's 30th anniversary this year being specifically cited in the press release. What better way to kick off that anniversary than with the announcement of the first major Pokémon attraction opening up in Japan? It may not end up opening by 2026, but announcing the existence of this attraction on Pokémon Day with a potential 2027 opening timeframe does seem to be in the cards. The real questions come with the other parks. I don't have too much insight on Universal Studios Beijing, so apologies if I'm missing any details here, but based on the lack of a Super Nintendo World in this park, with seemingly no plans to build one, I doubt that we'll see a Pokémon attraction here in the near future. Singapore might take a while as well, with that park only now starting construction on their Super Nintendo World. As for Universal Kids Resort in Texas, there is an expansion plot available for something like Pokémon, and I could see that making sense as a land with flat rides and meet and greets. However, that's another park that, like Beijing, hasn't had any Nintendo influence so far. It's possible there may be some cost reason they don't want to put it there, or they were just waiting for something like Pokémon to come along. However, let's just assume it's out of contention for now. That leaves Orlando and Hollywood as the last two major contenders, since they both have a Nintendo World and space to expand. Hollywood has much less space, however. Because of everything that exists around it, there's not a ton of room for this park to add things without removing something else. There is work being done to the backlot which may eventually turn into an additional attraction, but it seems unlikely that this will pan out to be Pokémon. The only other things that I could imagine Universal would be willing to replace at that park are the Simpsons ride on the upper lot and Transformers or Revenge of the Mummy on the lower lot. I know that last suggestion probably seems a bit wild compared to the other two, but hear me out here. Simpsons is by far the most likely of these three. It's a very old ride system, and not as beloved an attraction as the other rides in contention. Besides, based on long-standing rumors, this ride may not have many more years left, with the contract for this IP supposedly running out in 2028. The problem is that, based on rumors at Universal Studios Florida, the contract might have been extended for The Simpsons at Universal Parks. If that's true, it could mean that Universal leaves this ride standing for multiple years past when we originally expected. And unlike with the Florida parks, there's just not many better contenders for where Pokémon could go. As I said, Transformers and Revenge of the Mummy are viable options, but they're not nearly as compelling as Simpsons would be. Both of these rides still get crowds, and they're both well liked among park goers. However, depending on what the new Pokémon attraction will be in Japan, it's possible that Transformers would fit as a spot nicely. I kind of doubt it uses the same ride system as Transformers and Spider-Man since it's pretty high thrill and not well suited for younger guests, but if that is somehow the plan, maybe Transformers makes sense. Revenge of the Mummy is a bit more of a hunch. It's still beloved, but not nearly as much as the version in Orlando. Apart from that, it's just one of the older attractions in this park, and Universal isn't a stranger to axing old rides. Transformers being relatively new makes Pokémon seem a lot less likely there, even if the IP is more popular. Transformers has a much more popular IP than Mummy does, so I think if they're looking at it side by side, they could go with Mummy after all. That's especially the case when you throw in Simpsons. If they're already keeping Simpsons a very valuable IP, then why wouldn't they get rid of Mummy? Of course, I'm kind of overreacting there. I'd say there's a very high chance that Pokémon still goes to Simpsons, with a lower but still possible chance at either Transformers or Mummy. That said, I wanted to present all the options here since things seem much more uncertain here than Orlando. Orlando has its fair share of confusion too. For a long time, I and many others were under the impression that Pokémon would take over Springfield. With Simpsons likely closing in 2028 and Universal Studios needing new e-tickets to improve the park, it just made all the sense in the world for this to come to fruition. Now though, something else seems a lot more likely. With the rumors of Simpsons' contract being extended and permits being filed over at Lost Continent, it now looks like Pokémon might be coming to Islands of Adventure instead. Unfortunately, this makes a lot of sense. Lost Continent needed to be removed very soon, with no attraction currently operating in that land. While Springfield is nearing the end of its life, it still has a lot of capacity with its 2 attractions and massive dining space. Besides, while Zelda was long rumored for Lost Continent because of their visual similarities, why would they pick that before the significantly more popular IP? I do have my qualms if this comes true though. In my opinion, Universal Studios just needs Pokémon so much more than Islands does. Islands already has Jurassic Park, Marvel, and Harry Potter, along with plenty of other world-class attractions that make it debatably the best theme park in the world. Universal Studios, on the other hand, is kind of slacking. The new Fast and Furious coaster will certainly help the quality of the park, but in my opinion, it needs another major draw in the form of a full-on land to really put it on the map. Sure, Zelda could swap over here and replace Simpsons instead, but as I said earlier, Pokémon is miles ahead of it in terms of popularity, even with how popular Zelda is. The same goes with Wicked, which debatably may not even come to the Universal Parks anymore based on the performance of the second film. It still did well, but not as well as they might have wanted. Apologies for the tangent there when it comes to location, but to me, this decision doesn't make much sense. However, let's assume right now that the locations for the 3 new Pokémon attractions will be the most likely spot based on rumors. That means Pokémon will take over the former locations of The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man in Japan, Lost Continent at Islands of Adventure, and The Simpsons at Universal Studios Hollywood. Each of these locations free up a lot of space for a themed land and a major attraction. I'm curious what exactly that attraction will be, and if it will be shared among the 3 parks. If I had to guess, I think a Pokémon Snap style attraction utilizing AR technology might be what we end up seeing. However, with the mixed reception of AR on Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, it's possible that it could be changed. We could see either a more traditional dark ride or even an indoor roller coaster in its place, but rumors about that have been a bit sparse lately. It's possible that we could hear something about this ride as soon as Pokémon Day on February 27th, so be sure to keep your eyes out for anything coming then. Either way, be sure to subscribe so you can see my thoughts on all this news as it drops, and check out this video to see more details on the Fast and Furious coaster opening at Universal Studios Florida. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.